Hosted in conjunction with Chris Media, the CEO interview series allows investors to hear directly from the CEOs leading the companies featured on Wholesale Investor. Enjoy the interview and reach out via the details in the description.
Hi, and welcome to another CEO interview. Today, I'm joined by Peter Mobbs, Managing Partner at 5 Sigma. Thank you for joining me, Peter.
Thanks, Rhythm.
Amazing. Now, Peter, just to get us started, can you give us a brief introduction to 5 Sigma, just so the audience has a high-level understanding?
Sure. So we're a fund manager that allows investors to gain access to the global education technology industry, which is a $6 trillion industry. And we predominantly invest late stage in education technology, so around about Series C and D in all of the technologies that power that $6 trillion industry. So the content, the hardware and the software in the education industry.
Brilliant. Now let us talk about with the origin story of the 5 Sigma Growth Fund. So can you tell us from inception, what was the motivation behind starting this venture? What was the problem that you saw in the market that you wanted to address?
Sure. So I've been an operator in the industry for 20 plus years, and so we've got to know it quite well, but there are a number of problems. So education as a whole is a huge market, $6 trillion as at today. It's expected to grow to about $10 trillion by 2030, which is great. And that's driven by about 500 million new students entering the market, which in turn is driven by population growth. So it's a good problem that we're faced with more people entering the education industry. But it's so expensive now. It makes up about 6% of GDP around the globe. And governments just can't afford to keep funding that $6 trillion, soon to be $10 trillion. So there are a couple of solutions. One is for more private capital to come into the industry. And so VCs and PE funds entering the market with private capital. That's part of the solution. But the other part of the solution is technology. And technology is good in a couple of ways. So first, it improves accessibility and equity. So, and a good example is online education, where it's able to deliver education to students in rural and remote areas, for example, that wouldn't otherwise have had access to education. But one of the other benefits of technology is that it's generally deflationary. So it brings down the cost of delivery of education as a general rule. So, so technology has a real part to play in addressing this cost blowout in education. So, but we're at the beginning of the journey where it's around edtech or spend on education technology is only around about 4% of the overall spend on technology. So sort of circa $220 billion. So 4% of the total spend. However, by 2025, that spend is going from 220 billion to 400 billion plus. So it's almost doubling. When that happens, we're still only going to be 5% digitized. So we've got a long, long way to go in digitizing this industry. It's a bit of a digital laggard. It needs more investment and it needs more technologies.
Perfect. And I guess another question that people would have in mind is that the unique investment methodology with the fund. So with there might be other companies, looking to do the same kind of thing that you're offering. So what is your, let's say, competitive advantage?
So the way we see it, we're completely different to, say, a generalist VC or PE fund. As I mentioned, I've been doing this for 20 plus years, both as an operator. I've had 2 exits myself, so I know what it's like to be in the trenches. But I've also been an active investor in this space for the last 7 years. So we're very different to a generalist in that we've got deep sector experience, and we're able to leverage that sector experience to first of all deliver genuine proprietary deal flow. Everybody says that, but when you've been in the space for 20 years, you can actually deliver that proprietary deal flow. We can also discern the risk factors of an education technology investment better than a generalist, and we can pick the winners better than a generalist, because you really have to understand the market dynamics deeply to get that edge. And then finally, of course, when you've been doing something for 20 years, you can genuinely add value after you've made the investment. I think as a generalist, it's much harder to add value to an edtech business when you've never done it before.
Absolutely.
This is what we know and what we live and breathe. So a very different approach.
That's true. And your experience says it all, that I guess that 20 years of experience really counts a lot, giving that edge to your fund as well. Now, as my next question, I would love to know if you could share any numbers with us. So since the inception of the fund, how has the track record been, and any other details that you can share with us?
Sure. So this is a Fund 1. Prior to setting up the fund, maybe Fund 0, we could call it, we have a 10.1 times return on invested capital for our own balance sheet investments, which is a great personal track record. In this fund, it was only launched this year, so it's early days, but we've still got plenty of runs on the board. So we've already raised half the fund in the space of about 4 or 5 months, and we've made we've looked at 36 deals. We've done a deep dive on 3 of them. We've made 2 investments, both in market-leading global market leaders. And we've taken on investment from 22 high net worth and family offices to quite large Australian family offices, and some big name tech investors. So, for example, there's some names that I can't mention, but Steve Baxter, probably Australia's best and most renowned tech investor, is invested in the fund, and 2 of the founders of Australia's best edtech business, Go1, also investors in the fund.
That's brilliant, Peter. It's so great to know.
Start.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's like people are actually seeing that unique value that you're offering, and which is why they want to get in. They don't want to miss out on this amazing opportunity that we have in front of us. Now, see, we've heard a little bit about your experience and what you bring to the table, but it would be great if you could elaborate about your team as well. So what are the skills that they are offering? So the team behind 5 Sigma.
Yeah, so it's not just me. So I leverage my own experience, but we've also partnered with a group called Artesian, which are one of Australia's largest and most active early stage VCs. And that allows us to do a bunch of things, but one of them is to leverage their depth of funds management experience. They've got 11 funds, over $1 billion under management. They've been doing this for a long time. So we can leverage that experience. It also gives us access to their global network of offices. So they've got 3 offices in Australia: Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide. Then overseas, Auckland, Jakarta, Singapore, London, New York. So immediately we have a global reach. And then directly on the team is a group of 6, so including myself, but in addition, a portfolio manager, an analyst, a lawyer, fund administrator, and business development manager.
That's amazing. You really have a very strong team backing you.
We do, yeah.
Now, as a parting question, Peter, I would love to know, and this is for our investors in the audience, what does your outlook look like over the next 6 to 12 months?
We're so excited about, there's a lot of market turmoil, and valuations are coming down, which is terrible if you were a fund investing predominantly over the last 3 years. But we're starting now when valuations are at 8-year lows. Right. So we're really excited about the turmoil in the market. And I don't like to say this because I know it will hurt a lot of people, but if there is a recession in the next year or 2, it's actually a good thing for us. Education is generally seen as counter-cyclical. It's almost recession-proof. And so if we can invest over the next 12 to 18 months at valuations that are at 8-year lows, it's a perfect scenario for us. So what we're looking to do is continue to invest in market-leading edtech businesses globally. We take a global view, and we've already made 2 investments, so we're looking for around another 3 to 8 of the best edtech businesses in the world. They have to be fast growth. They have to be global in their orientation. They have to be either profitable or close to profitable. and they have to have significant and sustainable competitive advantages. And if they do that, they're a market leader, then we'll be looking for them.
Amazing. It sounds brilliant. Well, firstly, I would like to congratulate you on all your achievements so
Thank you,
far.
Rita.
We've heard it all from you. And for the investors in the audience, if you would like to speak with anyone at the team at Five Sigma, please see the details at the side of the screen or in the description. And thank you again, Peter, for joining me for this interview. And I wish
Thanks,
you
Rita.
all the luck with your venture.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.